Selectman
isn't reviewing it for that purpose. The attorney's not reviewing it for the intent. He's reviewing it to make sure, legally it's okay.
I think the big problem is that you put something in front of the public and got them to agree to it when they had absolutely no idea it was going to fundamentally change our town.
You didn't even know what you were voting on, Mr. First Selectman.
Pardon?
You didn't even know what you were voting on based on this.
Yeah.
I read it, but you don't.
Yeah.
You know, did you read it?
We all had we all had an opportunity.
We had the person come here. We had the person come here.
Time out. Okay, we all had the opportunity to read it. We all missed it. I mean, basically, and proof of the matter is that we all marched forward last year through the budget process as if nothing changed. Right. Okay, and I pick up the charter all the time and read it because I'm looking for something, and then as I'm looking for something over here, and I said, oh, what is this? And until Art said to me, oh, the charter changed it, and I pulled out the old and the new, and I said, well, what changed? Okay, and even what changed in terms of the annual meeting, Mike pointed out, had to do with what the taxpayer could change at the annual meeting, percentages and process, which, it took the capital and the debt service out of the equation. So at this point, nobody that read it, nobody that voted on it at any step along the process, do I believe, knew what these changes, what the consequences of these changes were. So at this point, we have to figure out how to fix it in time for this budget season.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not. I mean, I want to see that spreadsheet. I sent an email today asking for it because I know in the minutes. And that's more out of curiosity to just say, how the hell did they come here? Because it's not going to fix anything. Something else has to fix the thing. And what we're talking about is one word. Okay. And to me, the one value of looking at the spreadsheet is that maybe it proves that all we need is a technical correction. I mean, maybe that's what it's going to prove, that it's just a technical correction. And how do you make a technical correction, there? Because I'm not sure you would find a single person in town that would look at that and say, well, that was my intent. And so that's what the next step is. We're going to go back to the attorney. If that little bit of information will help, but certainly, I think we need to explain to Ritter this was not the intent of anybody, anybody. And in terms of the voter voting on it, the voter voted on six questions. This thing, if this was the intent was to change this, it should have been a separate question. I mean, there was nothing in those other 6 questions that so fundamentally changed how we do business here than this issue.
Just did.
Yeah.
And I had no control.
Yeah. All right. So, any other comments? So we can move on.
So we're gonna have another legal opinion on this.
Well, hopefully it's not illegal. Hopefully it's a question. Can we change? Can we make a technical correction based on because? Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I don't think we need a whole legal opinion. We're talking about one word. I'm
not a lawyer.
I know.
No, but you can ask them.
You can. Yeah, that's.
Based on the intention.
We got to go back to them with a specific question.
Are you going to call and get us a response to this inquiry?
I'm going to discuss this with the Board of Selectmen tomorrow night because it's a board's decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to tax collector.
Okay, I sent you a report, Rob. I'm sure it didn't get out to everyone. Joni was out this afternoon. But just to reiterate from the last meeting that I was here, we are running on track. We just came off of our January tax collection cycle. We did okay that month. We're about 94.7% for our collection rate for our overall 2017 grand list. We're still going strong with the delinquencies and the interest. Those will be fine at the end of the year. We did send out approximately 2,000 delinquent statements. I sent out statements this month. They went out about February 6th. I try to get them out as soon as possible because once you become delinquent and you forget that payment, you're not paying interest for 2 months. And sometimes it's a shock to some people that has happened. So we send them out as soon as possible. People are rectifying everything. We've been flooded with calls. As you can imagine, 2,000 statements going out is a lot. Also, we sent out 100 additional demand letters. This is the stuff that we found from the Lexus, okay? Addresses and stuff. So in the next couple of months, we should start seeing some revenue from that. Okay?
Any questions of Michelle?
Any question?
Maggie, I think you said that we...
Yeah, so we are a little bit behind in the finance department with the recent retirement of a nearly 40-year employee. In particular, it affects more the revenues report, as that individual did all the posting of that. I do have an interim person who's trying to get their arms around all of that, and so we don't normally put those reports together till we finalize our reconciliations, and so we're a little behind. And then there's this thing called the Board of Ed budget that's been occupying a lot of my time, so I do not have my reports for this meeting. My apologies.
There were no transfer requests.
I'm going to report for the charter, again, anytime we spend out of capital more than $10,000, I need to inform the board of such a expenditure. I also have to tell the Board of Selectmen, and what we're spending is about $12,000 something to replace all the public computers in the library. And the reason we have to do it is because Microsoft no longer supports the XP computer. So we would go in there, fix it, we would reprogram it, then Microsoft would download and wipe them out. So we have 18 computers at the library that needs to be replaced for the public. So we can keep the monitors, and we got it at the least amount of money that we need to expend. It's about $13,000, and we'll be doing that after Mario gets done with the number of problems he has. So that's all I have on the transfer.
Any questions on the... Okay. OpenGov, Andrea.
That was on transfers. You want my report?
Oh, that was...
I don't have that.
I thought that was your...
I don't have that much more.
I thought that was your report. I'm sorry.
I just want to inform the board. A number of months ago, we applied for a grant to do some work on the green. We were denied. They're just that, you're not eligible for this grant or whatever. We don't have enough money for this grant for you. Well, they came back 3 weeks ago and says, well, we found money. Your grant's approved for $396,000. I'm going to have to work with the Historic Commission, because there's some things they don't want and some things they can't say we can't do. Like we want to replace the gazebo, we want to replace the bus stop, we want to put up some fencing, we want to redo the gravel, even though we got the new dust down. Jim wants to pull it all up, put a hard pack down, then put the gravel down. We were trying to make it as much ADA compatible as we can. So I'll be working with them as soon as I let them know we got the grant.
And what program was that through?
Pardon?
What state program, what state grant program was that through?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It went through the building department. I don't know the exact grant thing, but we kind of almost threw everything away, and then they sent us a letter, oh, we found enough money for you, and we'll send it.
Excellent, thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you. On OpenGov, Andrea, and I had an opportunity to review 4 reports that were on there. There's one other report that at some point I'd like to get on there, Maggie, and that's the budget trend report, which basically just shows the budgets over the years without the results, so you can see the adopted budgets from year to year. But as Maggie pointed out, there's one in the ledgers down below. There's one error on the year-to-date expense that on the variances for the items, they're all correct, but the total, they carried over the wrong column. The formula didn't come down at this point, but it's not really material, and it's not something that changes a lot. So I think we would like to recommend that we make
Andrew, would you like to speak to it, or?
it side public.
Well, no, I wasn't going to say anything.
I just want to say that initially, when I logged onto it, I was kind of struggling with the program, but Rob, you know, pointed me in the right direction, and it's a pretty valuable program, and I think the community is going to love it. And I'm just looking forward to the Board of Ed side. Do we know when we're?
Yeah, I think Brad, you said maybe next week or the week after.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to get permission forms back from our members. As we get those, we'll open access to them, and once our membership has the ability to look at our side, we're more than happy to open it up to whoever you choose after that. We just had that ability to provide that to our members in the past week or so.
Yeah, and I had a temporary opportunity when we were developing the reports to look at the Board of Ed side, and it's as impressive as the town side. In fact, you can even break down by building, so you can see the expenses specifically by each school. I think the difficulty that Andreas had, I had initially too. Because I called Meredith up and said, we were expecting a lot deeper detail than that. She's, oh, you got to click on this thing up here.
Yeah.
And at that point, it just opens it up. So I think maybe we need a little cheat sheet or something that just so people know that they got to click on that one drop down to pick out expense type so they can see everything by department.
Now, Andrea's here. I don't know if you heard her whisper, but we should get it on the record. She said she had no problem with it, so she's...
Well, she read the directions. Men usually don't. We just click and clack. So can we turn the town side? I don't know whether you have to do it or call.
I mean, who's even supposed to be making that decision? Because I don't understand the role of the committee versus the role of the board.
Well, the committee was supposed to come up with a policy.
They have one, you approved it.
Right, but the policy, I mean...
I have no problem.
I'm just making sure. I'm trying to make sure there's no argument later about who was supposed to do what.
Because it's not on the
Is there, in terms of saying, okay, let's make this thing public, who's the decision maker? Is it Art?
I have no idea.
Well, can the board recommend to move it forward?
Well, I think that's what, you know.
I mean, can we just make a motion for it, or is
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, and and whatever it takes to get it moving quickly. I mean, it's been, how many, I mean, Art agrees in terms of how long it's taken. I mean, it's now 10 months and, you know, and this is only the first month.
And I'm not sure it's ready to move because of the...
We're just looking at
it's
month end.
It can be opened up, it's just stagnant until the integration is fixed.
Yeah, there's a problem with the new unit isn't integrating right, which means we can't update it beyond
February 8th, it's stuck at February 8th, so it's stuck on January.
And we wouldn't have been ready to release January until Maggie had her reports ready. So at this point, we would only be looking at December, and that's what's on there is December. Year-to-date December, and then there's, I think, 3 or 4 prior years right now. On there. So you want to make a motion on the record?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move OpenGov forward for the public to use.
Yeah, I didn't ask you guys to comment because I know you haven't been on there and you weren't involved from the start. That's the reason I didn't say, what do you think? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor for recommending that we move forward and put the town site live for the public, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Due to the late hour, I'd like to table B until the next meeting, and I'm not sure yet at this point. And the same thing with C. A, we have to 11A, Art.
you have a...
Yeah, we have a real estate transaction. Can you describe the property, Art, that we're talking about?
Yeah, it should be on your...
Well, just for the...
It's one, okay. It's piece of property going out to don't go outside. The house there, it's in, the people that owned it died. They contacted the town because it's in a blight situation. They wanted to sell it to the town for a number of reasons. One, it's a blight situation. 2, it's a hazardous situation because the house is too close to the road. You can't make a right turn, that's why you can't go out that way. They wanted $49,800 for the piece of property. I got them down to $40,000. And I added $5,000 for legal fees for closing. I don't believe we'll need that much because that's what we didn't need over there. We didn't need that much over there. Our intent is to remove the brush, the trees, the house through a grant. We're working that grant and turn it into more parking for the town hall.
Any questions?
Yo,
I got nothing on
where are the
this.
documents
What
for
are you
this?
talking? I don't even know
I
what
mean,
this is.
how are we gonna make,
Something on
how are
that.
we gonna make a decision with no documents in front of us?
I didn't know what I thought you were gonna bring stuff. I don't think there
We
was
don't
anything.
have anything in our
There's
packet.
nothing in our
In your
packet.
I
packet.
didn't know they were putting it on their agenda before you do the appropriation tomorrow night, so I didn't bring it
Oh, I
with
thought
me.
you guys voted on it last meeting. I said,
No, they approved the real estate
Purchase.
transaction. The only thing you would be doing would be the appropriation, which they're
They
doing
haven't
tomorrow
done yet.
night.
Oh, I thought then
Yeah.
we can take, we can take.
Yeah, I didn't know this was going
Table
on.
this for 2 weeks.
You only do an appropriation of the funds.
Okay, then we don't need to vote on this tonight. Next item on agenda 11B.
Well, wait, can we back up on this? This is a time-sensitive situation. We're getting it from an estate that doesn't want to pay any more taxes. If they pay taxes, we're probably going to have to renegotiate the price.
I'm not gonna,
Who do they pay taxes to?
yeah.
Town,
So can we deduct from the purchase price the amount they pay, or add on to the purchase price the amount they paid us in taxes, or give them a credit on the closing for taxes paid?
I'm not an attorney, I don't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, you pay taxes up until you convey it over.
well, yeah, but as part of the purchase price, if there's a delay, we can, it's the same dollars to the town. You know, we take it in taxes and we shredded the taxes back, to them if it goes past a certain deadline. I mean, at this point, we'd be, it's 45,000. Who's paying for the demo?
Well, grant,
That we have, or
we're applying.
we're applying?
That they're available up to $50,000 for depressed property.
What's the
The appropriation was $45,000 to cover the purchase and associated legal fees from unassigned fund balance. And that's on their agenda for tomorrow night.
Well,
So, if you were to do that tonight, you'd be doing, that's it right there.
They don't have it.
yeah, I mean,
No, because I don't see their agenda before the meetings. It doesn't come to me
If
till
it was
I
on your agenda, you should have got it in your packet.
No, we didn't.
didn't know it was on their agenda, so I didn't.
I interpreted through a conversation that you wanted it on the agenda, that's why I put it, and then I saw that the purchase was approved at the last meeting. I didn't know you didn't incorporate
I
that.
think it would be in the poor taste of the board to make a move on something that we didn't get information ahead of, to review and to research on. And that's not how we're gonna set the standard moving forward on this board, given information at a whim, at a meeting.
When
That's how certain people expect it.
when is the expectation in terms of closing?
Soon as this is approved, the two lawyers are going to get together and they will close within 30 days. It's on your agenda. I can't help it if it didn't get to your packet.
And so they were saying, because if it's gonna close within 30 days, we can still,
Special meeting?
I'll have a special meeting for this.
Yeah, we could have a special meeting, I can attend by phone.
Okay.
I mean, you could do a phone conversation.
Yeah, well, we have to have at least have one person, I believe, at town hall.
Correct.
On a speakerphone with the rest of us.
Correct.
Right. We can work
Okay, we can work something.
Yeah, and
One of us
because
can
we
be
have to
there.
do it after you guys make your move, right?
Pardon?
We have to do it after you actually,
That's the proper process.
that's the
So actually-
proper format.
How many times have we, and I sat on that board, make a motion to appropriate money based on the approval of the Board of Selectmen?
We could do that.
It's done all the time. Am I correct?
Yeah.
I mean, we have the information we have the transfer information there, all right? We wouldn't have gotten any additional information besides the transfer notice that was, that we were, you know, to be provided, that we looked at the hard copy. We could do it that way, Rob.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't think, I mean, you know, Art went into a discussion, it makes all the sense in the world to, you know, to do this. We've done this, similar things before, as far as, you know, and it's going to benefit the town, and the additional costs associated with it potentially can be covered by a grant to deal with the removal of the existing property. It removes the blight, adds to the town hall. I don't think there's any issues with it. Again, you know, if we could make that motion so that they can move forward, you know, pending years, you know, let's put it this way. If you want, I'll make that motion.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the transfer pending Board of Selectmen approval.
Yes.
Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Discussion, more discussion.
I don't agree.
No, I don't agree. This is not how we should be conducting business.
We didn't see anything on this, we don't know what it is, we're applying for things, they might come, what if they don't come, we need more money. You know, I didn't know anything about this.
What's the property assessed at? Yeah.
The land is only assessed, the building is not assessed, $50,000. That's why they started at, well, $49,800.
Which is the assessed value? Or
It's the assessed value, the property is 60-something thousand.
That's the 70%.
The land, because that's all it's worth.
Is it assessed at 49.8, or that's the value and then it's being assessed at 70% of that value?
No, it's 49.8 for the land, period. There's no value in the house.
I realize that, but assessed value is 70% of the property value.
No, that's the value.
That's the property.
Assessed property value.
Right.
And the grant that you get for the demolition, how much is the grant, you said?
The demolition, we'll do all the work except take the building down. Our public works department will go in there with chippers and woods, and they have a time frame between when the grass starts growing and the snow stops to go in there and take it down. So there would be our normal operating expenses for our town employees.
And how about the construction of the parking lot there?
That doesn't include.
No, that has nothing to do with the parking lot. It's just to acquire the land and then move.
No, it's eventually, that's potentially what you'd like to try to do.
Yes.
Is utilize that as additional parking space, but until then, at least you have to acquire the land.
Correct.
And would that become an exit and entrance?
Yes, that will be able to become an exit and entrance because the house will not interfere with the sight line.
What additional information do you think we should be looking at before we vote on this?
I don't know, but he just wants $45,000 on some, is he gonna get the grant? Are you gonna get the grant, or is it a maybe, is it a yes?
We don't know.
You don't know if you're gonna get the grant?
But we're buying a piece of property worth $50,000 for $40,000.
Correct.
What additional information, Andres, do you feel we should be looking at?
I just don't feel that we should be getting information out of whim and be forced to make a big decision on it. We should have had this information ahead of time. We should have been able to ask any questions that we had in concern of this property. I haven't done any research on this, and a lot of things are being said at these meetings, and sometimes I wonder what's true and what's not. So I would like to do, I think it's important that we have some more information regarding this. If not, if there is no information, Art.
What do you want to specifically know? I might be able to tell you.
Okay. My question is to you, why are we receiving this last minute? That's my.
Because somebody didn't put it in the agenda.
So that's all.
It was in the clerk's agenda packet because they didn't get it.
Joni didn't post it on the agenda packet.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't, it wasn't down at the town clerk's office. So, I mean,
I can't tell you why Joni didn't put it in there. She's not here.
Well, Rob, unless there's any
Yeah, at this point-
additional, there's a motion on the table, it has been seconded, I believe the committee had, the board has had ample opportunity to present questions. If there's any further questions relative to the property, the purchase of the property, and the transfer of funds associated with that purchase, we have the time to do it. But I would definitely like this to move forward because we do have a standing motion on the table.
Yeah, I just want to be sure I wasn't missing something in terms of additional information that might be available. So we do have a motion, we have a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any all opposed? Motion carries 4-2. Next item on the agenda is election of the vice chair. I would like to nominate Rob Estevi for that position. The name did come up tonight earlier, and certainly Rob has 4.5 years of experience, and in that position, and recognizing that Rob indicates, although anything certainly could change, that his intent is to be able to contribute to this year's budget process. I believe that he could be a great contributor in my absence, in terms of any public hearings or workshops or anything that come up. Do we have a second to that nomination?
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay.
I mean, we knew this was going to happen. We predicted it. I'm not Nostradamus, but I'm starting to sound like him right now.
Okay.
Congratulations, son.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, liaison reports, anything, Mike? Linda? I have nothing. Andreas, you have any?
No, I'm sorry.
Citizens' comments? Dave?
Of course I do. I'm hoping that you guys can resolve your issue there. I think that is of the utmost importance. I agree with you, Rob, that that one word shouldn't fundamentally change how we do business in this town. And I think that tomorrow morning, I would hope that the first selectman gets on it and finds an answer, and like Mike says, a technical change might need to be done. I don't think we need the whole entire charter change all over again. But I think it's important to go back and look at that spreadsheet. We're all under the assumption that it wasn't intentional. We don't know that. We're just speculating that. We got to go back and see the notes. Maybe they were advised by Shipman and Goodwin. Not only did Shipman and Goodwin look at the charter, but Shipman and Goodwin also was the one that gave you the ruling and the legal opinion. So maybe Matt Ritter has some information that we all don't know about, and maybe that was the intent. We don't know that until looking at it.
She's speaking, and you guys are having your private conversations. Could we show some respect during citizens' comments?
Thank you, Andres. And the other thing is, I just want to point out that that house over there on 108 Mill Street was built in 1845. It was built in 1845, I believe. So it's just not demolition. I'm sure that place has asbestos and a lot of other things that I think need to be looked at.
Thank you.
Before you go and just say, we're going to get a grant to demolish it. It's nice that we want to help somebody else. I think it's a great thing to be able to turn there, but I think you need, and you owe the taxpayers, a little bit more research. $45,000. I've heard every single person up here talk about what a tough year this is going to be, how we're going to be looking at dollars, how we're going to be trying to absorb the additional cost to the town from the state. And yeah, okay, that's a good thing. There's $45,000, but what does that mean going forward? And what are the taxpayers going to have to sacrifice because we want that little piece of land? We spent $375,000 or so for the senior center. I have not heard one peep pushing that senior center in any meeting that I've been here. But we had a lot of money taken out of our general fund to buy that. It is not the time to be spending money when our new governor is saying that he's shifting a lot of the costs back to the town. That's it.
Other citizens? And then the back. Evan first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have three things too on the whole charter revision. First, for the past, if the attorney reviewed this and part of the attorney's review isn't to notify the town of net effects, it should be. And if it was part of their responsibilities and they didn't give it to you, we should consider an attorney. Moving forward, Mr. Egan, I agree with you. Let's look at how we fix moving forward. If a memorandum of understanding is legally sufficient, then maybe that's the way we address it. But the only persons whose legal opinion means anything is a judge. It's not an attorney, because every court case, there's two attorneys with two different legal opinions. The judge is the only person who matters. Third and finally, and I'll end it on a happy note because I'm a happy person, is thank you for the time in interviewing me. I appreciate it. Thank you for the comments. I don't necessarily disagree with your decision. I knew it was coming. I wanted to interview anyway because I do think that Colchester is important, and I'm willing to put myself up to try and make the place a better place.
Thank you.
You are absolutely right. If everything hinges on that one word, everything you've done up until now has been in violation of the town charter. So you need to get this fixed, Ricky Tick. Okay? That house, she nailed it. If that house is polluted, you're buying a pig in a poke. Did anybody do the research? Somebody did the research, there's no asbestos in that house?
There's lead paint, I believe.
Okay, how much you remediate it? Ballpark. Throw me a number. Is it a lot of lead paint?
No, I was told it would take about $25,000 to take it down.
Oil heat? Oil tank rupture in the basement? Anybody do that test?
Pardon?
Oil tank rupture in the basement? Is the ground underneath it polluted?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
It's on sewer and water. So, again, I don't know how it was fueled or heated.
You also might have mentioned that we're getting was it 375 or 396 grant for the town green?
396.
To do a gazebo and a bus stop.
No, to redo a number of things in there.
Oh, okay.
It's a redo, this is what we want so far, this is what the Historic Commission is doing. It's new fencing on Norwich Avenue, you know what that is. It's some drainage, it's some trees, it's a number of things.
Is that going to be done internally, or are you going out?
Don't spend the money, it goes back to the grant.
Okay. Is it going to be done internally, or is it going to be bid out?
It'll be done internally.
Okay.
Well, the gazebo won't, that'll be.
It's prefab.
But I mean, the major.
I don't need to tell you guys how important this year is. You guys are going to have a tough job. That's why I got off the couch tonight. Because I'm this close to putting a sign in front of my house. I've been here 30 years. I was born in Connecticut. It's getting unbearable. And I know this because I run a property management company in the Bull Hill area, Colchester. Okay, I've lost 5 customers. They're selling or leaving. They're headed south. What that does is it drives your property values down. It's simple math. Your mill rate goes up. People that have been there, they lose on their homes. They get discouraged, they leave. They take their businesses and their money with them. So, I think it's important to have an ALS system in this town, but only if it makes dollars and cents. And I hate to be hard-nosed about it. I spent 32 years in municipal service, the last 17 in a position of budget control. And I know how hard it is to make choices, but they have to be made. We can want the world, it's paying for it. And you are all managing your home budgets. You are all feeling the same pinches that everybody in this room is feeling. And it's out of hand. I mean, how are we going to pay 33% of teachers' pensions? We have to. We made that deal. We owe those people what they negotiated for, and you can't renege on it. Okay? Shame on a state government if they want to renege on it. You don't do that. Okay? An agreement's an agreement. You make it, you make it. As far as that word, I guess we're going to find out tomorrow night whether it was intentional or not. Right?
Pardon?
Tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, what?
When you have your Board of Selectmen meeting?
Correct.
Okay?
7 o'clock.
Woe to the board if that word was intentional. I hope not.
Thank you.
I just have a question. Or maybe Steve, you want to adjourn first?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's, we're past the curfew. Town hall's supposed to close at 10. And it's snowing out. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
You go.
Yes. Does the town clerk have all of that down for the charter commission?
Well, what,
Well, you have all of it. You have the red line sheet